Welcome to our favourite way to make cauliflower. This is a golden turmeric cauliflower with a tahini cream and a zug.
Growing up, we always hated cauliflower. Mom used to make cauliflower cheese and we hated it. This method is quick, it's delicious. It really makes cauliflower a centerpiece dish and it's super elegant as well as tasty. And 20 minutes is pretty cool for a dinner.
So I've got a pot of boiling water and a gentle rolling boil. I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric. That's gonna give that golden, delicious color to the water. And I'm gonna add a decent pinch of salt.
Take our cauliflower, remove the stalks on it. If there are any kind of dark spots on it, just take a microplane or a fine grater and just grate them off. We're gonna chop this into quarters, leaving the stalk on, and if the stalk is big and woody looking, just chop a few little slits and it's just gonna help with the heat transfer and create more even distribution of cooking. Pop that into the boiling water. We're gonna boil that for about 6 to 8 minutes until the cauliflower is soft, but still maintains its structure and shape.
Super important to check during the boiling process. The best way to know if it's done or not is to see if a fork can go into the center stalk. If it goes in nice and easy, it's ready to go. And a top tip here is you want to make sure your cauliflower is slightly undercooked rather than overcooked. If it's overcooked, it will tend to fall apart during the searing or frying phase. But if it's undercooked, it will stay together.
Okay, now that our cauliflower is done, we are gonna make our zug. We're gonna do this in a pestle and mortar. If you don't have a pestle and mortar, you can do this in a blender or a food processor. Both work fine. I just think it looks better on camera like this than this big pestle and mortar. So into our mortar, we are adding 1 handful of coriander, also known as cilantro, 2 cloves of garlic, 1 red chili.
It was green chili.
1 green chili, correct. We're gonna go in 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, half a teaspoon of ground cardamom. If you can't get cardamom, leave it out. And with cardamom, just be careful. Use slightly less rather than more because it is quite fragrant and aromatic and it really can dominate. Juice of half a lemon, I'm gonna squeeze that through my hands. I'm gonna go with a generous pinch of salt and approximately 75 ml of oil. Take our pestle and just bash it up until smooth. Most important thing is just to taste and final season it. And if you don't like coriander, just replace it with basil or with parsley or another herb of choice that's similar leafy herb. Before we plate this dish up, we're gonna char our cauliflower. So the cauliflower will be a little bit wet from boiling it. Just make sure to give it a bit of a shake just to remove any excess moisture. Take a dry pan and we're gonna put a tablespoon of oil approximately into that pan on high heat. In another jar or bowl, we're gonna put in 2 tablespoons of oil, approximately 3/4 to 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, a pinch of salt, and we're just gonna mix that together with a pastry brush.
And what's super important here is on the insides of the cauliflower, we're gonna simply brush the insides of the cauliflower with this delicious seasoning, and we're gonna add it straight into the hot pan, inside down. So what we want to get here is a delicious caramelization and a char on the inside of the cauliflower, because as we present it, we want these sides facing up because they're so flavorful and they're so pretty and aromatic.
What a delicious smell.
So as we're doing this, you also want to brush a bit of the dressing onto the outside of the cauliflower, because we'll finally finish by charring the outside of the cauliflower as well.
And just be careful here when you are moving it that none of it falls apart and that it holds its shape. But even if it does fall apart, that is fine.
Next up, before we serve it up, we're gonna make our tahini cream. This is a delicious backdrop with which the whole dish sits on. To make our tahini cream into a bowl, we're gonna start with 400 ml or 400 grams of a plain plant-based yogurt. We're gonna add in about 6 tablespoons of tahini. We're using a light tahini. I find it's just got a much nicer flavor to it. We're gonna add in juice of half a lemon and a nice pinch of salt and mix that all together and bring it together. Note it forms this delicious texture. Like, it's creamy, it's delicious, it's beautiful.
Okay, before we plate this up, we're just gonna prepare our garnish. You could use pomegranate. Pomegranates aren't in season in Ireland. They're actually never in season in Ireland, but in Europe, they're not in season at the moment. So we're gonna use some pickled cabbage, red cabbage, also known as sauerkraut. Chop that up into fine little pieces and a little bit of cilantro. To plate it up, we got a lovely plate. Pop a generous serving of that tahini cream and just really create some lovely shapes and drizzles. Pop on our charred cauliflower, drizzle over our zug, and then just sprinkle with that sauerkraut and some coriander for just the most beautiful dish. I love this dish.
So here it is, we've got 1 each. Check it out, like it's such a pretty dish. And this, like we cook this in 15 minutes. It might take you 20 minutes, but it is such, like, it's a really good Friday night dinner if you've got people coming around for celebration. It's a beautiful.
It's easy to make, it's delicious. It kind of I think it punches above its weight.
And see the way you don't even need a knife because this cauliflower has been cooked. It's soft, it's beautiful. And you've got a lovely contrast of the fat of the tahini, the kind of richness and the nice, soft, supple.
And the bright acidity and aromatic and just vibrancy of the soap.
It is. Here we go. To your good health. This is honestly my favourite way to eat cauliflower.
It's beautiful. 20 minutes from start to finish. Generally, the ingredients are quite widely available. If you don't have tahini, you could use peanut butter.
Yeah. If you do cook this, please tag us on social media. We'd love to know. Tag us on Instagram. We'd love to see how you get on. If you want to learn more, we're the Happy Pear. We started with a veg shop over 20 years ago to help people to eat more veg. And we've got a recipe club now which got more than 600 recipes and a full community there to support you to eat more plant-based. So do check it out. It's less than the cost of a cup of coffee every month. There's a link down in the description. So thanks a mil and sending loads of love. Bye. Bye. Bye.